today we're going to unbox Legria, Canon Legria HFR 506, and also we're going to do a little review on it. Now, we bought this camera a couple of days ago, and I've had an opportunity to have a little fiddle around with it. So I've packaged back up in the box to emulate what it would be like if you were to open it up and buy it for the first time. So this is for all you guys out there. If you're looking to buy one of these Legria HFR 506, this is what will be in the box. So first of all, I'm going to open it up. I'm going to look for my big scissors. Big scissors. Now, like that, now we can just pop the little seal on it here. There we go. Get it open. And first of all, we've got manuals. Loads and loads and loads of manuals. Now, I've already taken the liberty of opening this, and it's just quick start guides and a registration, and there's loads of different languages. Really, that's all that's in that. Very sparse on software and manuals. There's no software that comes with this camera at all. You have to download it from the Canon website, and that's it. As far as I know, there's an AVCHD converter as well that comes with that download off the software off the website. I have checked that one out. So software, no use. I will be using Premiere Pro. This little package, you can see you get this from Canon now. I'm very surprised at this sort of packaging. Looks like something, you know, it was second hand, like, but I assure you this is not second hand. This is brand spanking new. A couple of days old. I've had it out, fiddled with it, and repackaged it, but this is exactly the same way as what I got it. So like that, bit of bubble wrapping in the camera main unit. Nice little camera there. Oh, very nice. It's singing all the bells and whistles. 35 megabits per second on MP4, and as far as I know, I think it's 28 megabits on AVCHD. Now, you want to be a trained spotter and be able to tell the difference between MP4 and AVCHD. There are some better qualities with the AVCHD because of the packaging, that the compression it's wrapped in, but we're not going to get into that in this part of the video. But anyway, this is the camera. It sings all the bells and whistles. We're going to have a look at that now in a second. Cable, off-board charger. Or not off-board charger, on-board charger. So it comes with this carry-on. This yoke goes into that yoke. Really simple. And this yoke goes into that. Now, I have seen somebody else review on this particular camera, and they were slagging the exposed circuitry, as they said. I think that's quite fine. I've seen a lot of cameras there with exposed circuitry, as long as you don't get it wet, and you know, you're not going to be holding it around like that up at the rain. So, you know, that doesn't bother me. It is a reasonably cheap camera. I think euros wise, this was 330 euros for full HD. Now, the full HD on it is 1920. Yeah, 1920 by 1080. The one that I'm using on the moment I'm recording this footage at the moment is Camilo X150, and that does 1440 by 1080. But the image on that quality is not as good as this one now. This one is just that little bit sharper. It's nicer, much nicer. It'll compare better with a DSLR compared to the one that I'm using to record this footage. So anyway, you get the HDMI cable. It's a mini, or not a mini one, it's kind of MIDI HDMI cable there if you want to connect up the screen to it, and also USB if you don't want to transfer the SD card to your computer. In my case, I just strip the SD cards out of it and put it into my computer, and upload from there. Battery. We have a battery. Canon. Big chunky battery there, and it lasts about 2 hours. So I've already taken the liberty of recharging this up before we did the show, just so we can get a good shank smear and get a good look at the camera, see all its functions and whatnot. As I said, I was looking at the one other review on YouTube, and he had to keep cutting the video to kind of charge up bits and pieces and have a look at the camera. And to be quite honest, I don't think he knew really all that much about cameras. But anyway, hopefully I will make the difference there. So I'm just using a normal 4 gig card. It's a 4 series. There you have a look at that. It's a number 4, nothing special. It'll do the job for the moment. And there's the slot there. It's a little flap on the side. You open up the flap, slot it in, close the flap. Grand, perfect. So now we have it on mode here now. I don't know if you can see that. Let's have a look. Have a look at this now. So we have it's on at the moment. And as I said, I have it set up for kind of mostly on manual alt settings, but you can set it up into program modes, and there's some nice little programs to be had out of it. And first we're going to need to open the shutter. The little shutter buttons here. Here we go. Nice bit of lenses. Here we go. Have a good look around the camera. See what it has. So we've got some nice little speakers in here. Not too bad, and as far as I know, I think these are sensors. They're not actually speakers, they're sensors. Or sorry, microphones. They're not microphones, they're sensors, apparently. Not too quite sure on that one actually. But we've got a 1.8 f on the aperture, which is really wide open. So it's good, and it's reasonably good in low light. It's not much smudging of the blacks. The blacks don't get too crushed, although they do when you kind of do push it, because I have tested it in the house with some extreme lighting conditions. As I said, it's not a bad camera. As I said, it's got 2 hours, about 2 hours. I think I've got 53 minutes off the charge that I just gave it there. Excuse me. It has a full manual function on it, which is really nice, and I find the touchscreen quite user friendly. So I think I'll go through the menus here. So what I can do is I can go to P, which is the program, right? If we see that, try and hold it steady. The program, and then I can put it into scan mode, or scene mode should I say. And this is pretty much, if you hit OK, it'll give you like different options to what you're going to be shooting. Snow, beach, stuff like that. Really nice and easy to use. I don't use it on that particular scene. And you've got some cinema. And as far as I know, this one shoots at 24 frames per second, which gives that cinematic look. And it has a filter as well. I think it's a contrast filter or something like that. That's on it. It gives it that really nice contrast. For most people, they would just use the auto, and the camera will just do everything for you here, like, you know. It'll look after the sound for you, it'll look after the sound quality for you, it'll look after the image quality. All you do is just predetermine what image quality you want, and you can just press OK, and it'll tell you SD, auto, all the bits and pieces. So we go up to the home menu there. This will give me into the shooting mode, and I can go into here to the recording setup, and then I have also my other settings. So we'll just have a look through those, and kind of so you can see what kind of things that are on it. So we have self timer, I have it off. The zoom speed is variable. Look at back. Zoom speed is variable, which is a really nice feature, and it gives you 4 or 5 different settings. So variable, I seem to have the nice one. The button is quite nice on it for a very small button. So we have speed 1, speed 2, speed 3. So they will vary the top one there between 3 other different speeds, which is really nice. It gives you some good versatility there. So the zoom position at startup, full wide angle, or last used lens position. So obviously you want it to return to the wide angle lens. Now a lot of these things won't come up here because of the program that I'm in at the moment, and it's on automatic, so a lot of this stuff won't let me do anything. But you can still see, like, there is a focus assistant, which is very good for a manual. Which what it does is it magnifies the image, so you can get it. Try to focus on it, so you can get it nice and sharp. And the auto slow shutter. Let's see, face detection and tracking. That's pretty good as well. Like if you leave the camera and there's somebody moving around inside the shot, it will keep a focus on those, so you can pretty much leave that camera on and walk away, and then use maybe another camera to do some other stuff. Like, and that's particularly what I'm going to be using it for. So the face detection and tracking is a really good thing for me now. Auto light backlight and correction. Auto backlight correction, not should I say. Yeah, what this does is it fiddles around with the exposure and re-exposes it, so the back and the mid, foreground and background are kind of better balanced. Like, so yeah, for people who are using auto, they won't know what any of that stuff is. So auto slow shutter. Yeah, this one is for when you're really caning it in the dark, and what you can do is you can slow the shutter down past
I think 30th of a second, like, as far as I know. The flicker reduction there, that's also, again, if you're shooting in manual, you can change between PAL and NSTC or NTSC or whatever it's bloody well called. Image stabilization, I've had a good fiddle around with the image stabilization on this one, and it is really, really good. Like, considering I've held it in my hand, and it really does a good job of stabilizing the shots. Like, now when running, yeah, it's not going to really be all that great now, you know. We have a couple of different levels of image stabilization then, so it's with or without, like, you know. As far as I know, there's an image stabilizer, an active one there as well, like, but it won't let me get into it on this particular setting. So you just go on to the next menu there. We have on-screen markers, which will show me all the details on the screen as I'm shooting, which is really some really good stuff. Like, if you're shooting a manual, it'll give you the mic levels. It will give you where the time, the battery. It gives you everything you need to know when you're shooting on a camera. Like, output on-screen display is on. LCD brightness, not really interested in that one. Go down, LCD mirror image, so that's when you flip the monitor around, it reverses for you. So if you're looking at the way I'm looking at this one, everything is backwards on the screen, like, but when you do it on this one, you can have it the right way around, obviously, which is really good, like, especially if you're shooting, kind of reviewing stuff like the way I am. But on the Camilo that I'm shooting this with, it doesn't give you the mirror image, so this is a really good option. HDMI status, yeah, not really much there for language, time zone, all that kind of carry on. Has a headphone socket as well, which is really good, like, if you're monitoring, you know, audio. I wouldn't be really using this as a main source of audio, but it's good as a reference if you're using some other audio equipment. Like, it gives you a good, reasonable idea of what your sound is doing, which is nice. Your volume button then as well. Notification sounds, I turn them off because it's pretty annoying. Notification sounds out of a camera, and every time you open up, it's like, yeah, you don't want to be doing that. You have a good option here, which is custom control button. Now, in manual settings, I have that as my audio. So I just press the audio button here in the corner, and it gives me the ability to be able to plus or minus the audio. Now, I can assign anything to that one button. So if you want to do exposure or your focus, you can assign every single one of them to that button, which is really, really trick. So this is the kind of available options that are there. Faders, pre-record, zoom, audio, scene, and video shops now. Now, as far as because I'm in scene mode, it will only let me choose particular ones, but when I'm in manual mode, it'll let me choose everything, which is really, really good. Display units, which is minutes, not interested in anything else. Auto power off, which is on. File numbering, yada yada yada. Yeah, look, initialize CDs and firmware. Certification loader was break, that's off. This doesn't come on when it's on. So let's go back to the main thing. So let's put it into let's see, that's a better view there now of it. So we go home and we go to the next menu here, which will be recording setup. So here we go. You see this now, we kind of get a little bit closer. We hold it here. There we go, that's better. Okay, get a nicer view of it there like that. I'm trying to get the reflection out. Now, actually, I will move the camera down like that. Turn it like that. That's much better. Alrighty, that's cool. Okay, we've got movie format. Now, movie format, I have it on AVCHD, or you can have it on MP4. There you go, simple as that. If you want to know anything about movie formats, go check it out on Google. Video quality 50p. One of the good things about this camera is 50p. It gives me the ability to record 50 frames per second, which is really, really good for when you want to slow motion things. It means you can half speed it without losing any quality. It makes it nice and fluid, so that's a great option. So that'll let me do it in a few different versions of it as well, but it doesn't tell me what frames per second it's doing it in now. Now, as far as I know, 50p is 50p, and the rest then is 25p. So there you go. I have it on 50p, that's what I want to shoot it on. Okay, so now we don't want to put on an auto. When shooting an auto, no. And then the main functions. Here's the main functions. Go back that way. The main functions. Right. going to go back. I'm going to put it into Program AE, and this will let me get back into all of the different settings that I have. It's kind of semi-manual. It's not full 100% manual. It's kind of semi-manual. You can kind of see there in the corner there, me speaking away. That's picking up my voice there, and I can press. I had the button earlier on. It was a custom button. There's the custom button there, and that let me gain up. And there's the number there. Let me gain up and down the mic, onboard mic. Up, and there we are. We're hitting minus 12 dBs at number 40. Yay! So there we are. That's really good. Now we can obviously put it on an automatic, but we're going to try and stay away from that one, because that will gain it and limit it and gain it and limit it, and the variation between the volume is just unreasonable. I'd rather just have it on manual. You just have a better overall volume experience. If you get loud, sharp volumes, like, you know, we studied in school for this kind of stuff. Like, anyway, go back to that one. So if I press this little camera and the little button here at the side, which is, you know, some people might say that's very difficult to do, but it's not all that bad. The audio scene, here we go. It's the standard music, conference, outdoors, and then, you know, in a car setting. So we just have it on standard. And apparently these puts little filters on it to kind of filter out frequencies in these particular situations. So on top of that, then we have powered image stabilization. Now, for some reason or other, this particular part of the powered goes off, and I don't understand. But what happens is there's the stabilization, and the D stands for dynamic. When I put it on, it'll go yellow. So that's telling me it's on, but it was already on before that. Now, if I shut this thing off, that thing will go off, but the P and the handle stay on it. It'll go from P to D. So there you go. So one is powered and the other one is dynamic. So I think, as far as I know, dynamic seems to be a little bit better than the powered one. But anyway, we'll play around with that. Let me go back here. Back to the menus again. Like that again, it's really handy and easy. Now, if you're going to be shooting on this and you're going to be doing an interview or something like that, which is mostly what I'm going to be using that for, we would obviously set our white balance. And like that again, we can take a reading and we set white balance. Obviously we need a piece of white card. I have to find one. Now, we need to set the white balance. You set the white balance, and you hit the set the white balance button. Here we go. Set the white balance, and the little white balance light will stop, and that means that we're all good to go, and we have perfectly neutral whites here. That's great for when we're shooting and we're trying to match it up with other cameras. Okay, so we'll be back to the settings again. The next thing we would do would be to set the exposure. Now, like that again, we could use a grey card here, but red is a mid-tone, so we can pretty much set it off that. So we just touch where we want to expose it for on the screen, and it'll take the exposure. Now, we can dial in some extra stops if we wanted, but generally it gets it fairly right. You know, it's a Canon camera. Through the lens metering systems will be, you know, second to none. So I'm going to trust that. I have looked at it on the computer, and they do seem to be fairly neutral. Like that again, I'm not an expert on colour tones, like, but I have been messing around with cameras for quite some time. The way my eyes see it is, I think that's pretty good as a neutral view. When we bring it into the computer, and then by the time we edit it, we boost up some of the colours. This gives us a good starting point anyway. So finally, I think on the menus we have the focus settings. Now this is pretty good if you wanted to get some arty shots as well. So like that again, if we put something, you know, in the foreground or background, we can kind of zoom up to it. We can see that. Zoom up to it, and then like that again, we can touch it where we want it to focus it. It's not seems to be working there now too good. Yeah, we can touch it where we want to focus it, and there we go. You can see it in the background. So it's pretty decent the focus like that again, and then we will just close out of that. This is an interview position. If you're going to use it in an interview position, you would obviously your your talent would be sitting down. They wouldn't be moving all around that much, so it would be pretty much well focused. And then if you had a secondary camera, you could obviously walk around and get your B-roll material or your arty shots. Like, that's what I'd be doing. But anyway, aside from that, you know, it's got some really good functions. It's got a good battery life. It's a reasonable lens. I have seen some, you know, some blue haloing going around, but it seems to be a bit of a problem when, you know, the backlight is very high. And there's a difference between contrasts like whites and blacks. You might see some blue, as far as I know, they're called aberrations, blue haloing around some white objects. So other than that, now you do get some of that off kind of cheap camcorders like that again, and as far as I know, it's into the lens, because the lens has so much of an optical zoom. They have to sacrifice some of the quality for that, and as far as I know, it comes from the outside of the lens now, but I'm not 100% on that. So there we are. There's this week's review, and today is Monday the 22nd. Is it Monday the 22nd? Monday the 22nd. This week's Canon Legria HFR 506. So after all of those openings, unboxings, and having a little talk about it, my opinion on this camera, for €330 in Ireland, I would give it out of 10. Dark Humsky, would give it out of 10 for quality, price, functionality, all of that stuff. I would give this Canon a total of 6 out of 10. Well, thanks very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this week's review on the camera, and I hope you're around next week. Next week I'll be reviewing Nikon D5200, Nikon 5200, and possibly a Manfrotto tripod. Ooh. So, see you around next week.